All right. This is chapter 5-5. It is on the Pythagorean theorem. Most of you should know the formula for the Pythagorean theorem, which is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. All right. The Pythagorean theorem is a formula that allows us to determine the length of a right triangle, any of the length of the legs of a right triangle. So we know that this particular example, for example, one of the legs is 12 inches, the other leg is 9 inches, and the hypotenuse we are looking for is x. All right, that's what we're looking for. Now, I have a little box here. This lets me know that this is a 90-degree angle. Opposite of the right angle, that side is always called the hypotenuse. All right. So it's always called the hypotenuse. That is always opposite of the right angle. All right. And the hypotenuse is always C in our formula. It is always C. You don't have to worry about the hypotenuse being A or B. It's going to be C. All right. All right. So let's use this formula to solve this particular problem. Now, the other two legs, this is side A, and this can be side B. You need to know that A and B can be interchanged. That could be B. This could be A. Those two letters can be switched around, but C can never be switched. It is always the hypotenuse. So let's plug in our numbers. So let's write our formula again. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And our numbers are, let's use 12 here. 12 squared plus 9 squared equals C squared. 12 squared is 144. Remember, 12 squared is 12 times 12. All right. 144 plus 81 equals C squared. Now, when I add these two together here, I get 225 equals C squared. Now, how do I solve for C? If you remember, to get rid of that square right here, we're going to square root. And whatever we do to one side, we got to do to the other side. Okay? Therefore, the square and the square root cancel each other out. You're left with C on this side. And the square root of 225 is 15. Keep in mind, it is positive and negative 15. So in your textbook, you will see something like this. But because we're dealing with distance, your final answer will be only a positive 15. It cannot be a negative. It got to be just a positive 15. All right. This means that if this is 12 inches and this is 9 inches, this must be 15 inches. The hypotenuse will always be the longest side. Got it? The hypotenuse will always be the longest side. All right, let's try another one. All right. We have another example here. You can see that my three sides are 8 meters, 24 meters, and the side I'm looking for, we labeled it as X. My right angle is right here. This is extremely important. Why? Because the right angle will show you and determine where your hypotenuse is. The opposite of that is my hypotenuse. Why is that important? Because that will tell you what letter C is in the formula. So this can be A and this can be B, but this must be C. All right. So let's plug in our numbers. So now if A and B are 8 squared plus X, which is my B squared. I'll just keep it as B squared. It doesn't matter what letter you use here. Like here it has X, but I can leave it as B squared equals C squared, which is 24 squared, right? So I know I'm looking for this value, which is our B in our formula. All right. So this is 64 plus B squared equals 560. 576. That is 24 to the second power. All right. Now, if you notice in this particular problem, I'm not looking for C. I'm not looking for the hypotenuse. I'm looking for B this time. All right. And so this is called the converse to the Pythagorean theorem, when I'm looking for A or B and not C. All right. So this is where we got to do a little bit extra work, because now watch what I have to do. I have to subtract 64 from both sides of this equation. Okay, remember the goal, to get the variable by itself. So I have to cancel that to get the b squared, bring that down. And 576 minus 64 is 512. So some number to the second power is 512. So how do we solve that last part? Square root here, square root here. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. And the square root and the square cancels each other out, leaving me with b equals plus and minus, positive and negative 22.6. But my final answer will only be the positive 22.6, because distance cannot be negative. And by the way, this is approximately, so we need a little squiggly equal sign to let you know that this has been rounded to the 10th place. All right. All right. Very good. This is our final answer.